And seeing if you can let the body just drop into stillness. Again, if you care to, intentionally establishing yourself in a posture that embodies wakefulness, whatever that means to you, or dignity, or presence. And resting here in awareness of this moment. Perhaps with some degree of anticipation of the afternoon, what will come next. But more with a sense of lingering with how things are in this moment. We've just had a time that we call lunch. And if you kept to the suggestion for part of the time, we were keeping our own good company in silence and just bringing awareness to eating. But also I hope, especially if you went outside, to a sense of the air and to a sense of awareness of the light and the feeling of the light on the skin and the air on the skin and of all of the activity around you at this particular environment in the hospital, around the hospital, the comings and the goings. And then for the last 15 minutes perhaps in conversation. And now in this moment, as we all take our seats again, lingering, if you will, in the aftermath of everything that's come before, that we're going to call lunch, which was as much an opportunity for mindfulness as anything else today. And seeing how it feels in the body now, having eaten, having been in silence and stillness by yourself, which might be quite unusual in the middle of a busy hospital environment. And perhaps for the last 15 minutes in conversation with other people, or desperately buying books, or whatever it is that you were doing. And just letting yourself rest in awareness of this moment with whatever's happening. Eyes open is fine, eyes closed are fine. But just the sense of the body as a whole, sitting here, breathing, enveloped in not only the air, but the sounds that the air brings to our ears, the breath that the air brings to the universe of our body, all courtesy of this air. A sense of the body as a whole, sitting here, breathing, digesting, maybe not just digesting lunch, but digesting everything we touched on this morning. And it was a lot. And just resting now and settling into awareness. So let's just for fun expand the field of awareness now around the body. The body will be here in this moment. The breath will be here in this moment. Sounds and the hearing of sounds and the spaces between sounds and the silence inside and underneath sounds, all of this will be available to us. It's always here. But let's also include the field of thinking in awareness. So now we will just include, or maybe feature center stage in the field of awareness, thoughts and emotions. And just put out the welcome mat for anything that arrives. This is not an invitation to start thinking, but to simply be aware of thoughts, as if your mind were like a thought mirror, and every time a thought arose, it was actually met and known and reflected and seen in the thought mirror of awareness. So if, for instance, you're sitting here and you say to yourself, it's like taxis, just when I want one, I can't find one. Well, that's one. That's a thought. Anything you say to yourself is a thought. So just resting in awareness and allowing thoughts to arise and pass away and be seen and met and recognized and known by this awareness function itself. And just let them come and go like clouds in the sky, or another image we used this morning was weather patterns, sometimes quite turbulent weather patterns, sometimes quite sticky mind states. They're thoughts that can be very sticky. They don't seem to want to leave. They keep staying put and in some sense create endless patterns of conditioning. But for now, just recognizing thoughts arising, lingering, and passing away in the field of awareness, coming and going just like the breath, just like sounds. And recognizing their emotional valence, if it's pleasant, if it's unpleasant, if it's neither pleasant nor unpleasant. And whether it's about the future or whether it's about the past. Planning, worrying, our favorite preoccupations, or memory. Or whether it's thoughts about meditating. Thoughts about meditating are not the same as meditating. Comments about your meditation practice are just mostly judgments. All judgments are thoughts. So to simply rest in the awareness of thinking. And letting your thoughts come and go like writing on water. And of course, sensations in the body will also come and go, and you may have a lot of thoughts about them. Like if your back starts to hurt, or Or if you get bored or impatient, usually all of those body states and mind states come with thinking. So we don't have to fix the thoughts, we don't have to change the thoughts, we don't have to suppress them, nor do we have to pursue them and create more narrative and more stories about me and my thoughts or how good they are or how bad they are. But to just be the knowing, the non-conceptual knowing that awareness is. Being this knowing, which is also not knowing. We have to be willing, as was said this morning, to rest in not knowing. And to not necessarily believe the content of our thoughts. To actively even question the content of our thoughts. And not be so sure of our knowing. But maybe knowing that we don't know. Even who's meditating, who's sitting, who's observing. Who's feeling? Who's thinking? Interesting questions to ask. Better to ask the question than to try to produce answers. And just see whether it's possible to rest in not having to know in this moment. To just recognize that the questioning itself carries with it a good deal of potential for insight into the nature of self, into how much we self-identify with our ideas and opinions, with our likes and dislikes. And for now, for once, we'll just actually expand the field of awareness once more, if you care to just a boundless field of awareness. No end to awareness. Or you can try to find the end of it, try to find the boundary, the circumference, or the center, and see. But maybe awareness is like the sky, or even better, like space. Infinite in all directions. No center and no periphery. You experiment and explore and see for yourself. And seeing if you can find a way to rest in awareness without making any choice about what objects you will attend to. Not even thoughts anymore or emotion, but just whatever predominates in this moment. And letting it come and be met and known in awareness, and letting it dissolve, because everything that comes goes. The law of impermanence at work. And as best you can, be this knowing and not knowing that awareness already is. And again, giving yourself over to this with tremendous kindness, with the lightest of touches, and yet with a sense of, playful seriousness. That this is, in fact, the challenge of a lifetime, to be awake for even one brief moment. And to actually settle with some degree of openness and comfort into your own skin, into your own being, without making it small, smaller than it is, and resting in the awareness that's coextensive with silence, coextensive with stillness, coextensive with movement, coextensive with being. with being alive. And just letting everything come and go, like riding on water. Or like soap bubbles that, when touched by a finger, when touched with awareness, by awareness, just go poof and liberate themselves. Without us having to do anything. Resting in what some people call choiceless awareness, where we're no longer choosing to one object or another, but just letting every aspect of life be seen and met and recognized and known in awareness. In some traditions, this is called the method of no method. In the Chinese Chan tradition, it's called the method of no method, or another word for it, silent illumination. You're not doing anything, you're not going anywhere, simply awake. No instruction necessary. In the Japanese Zen tradition, they call it shikantaza, which translates as just sitting, nothing more, just sitting. Nothing more. But that's just sitting in awareness, including awareness of unawareness, of mindlessness, of self-distraction, of continuous partial attention. All of this is amenable to awareness. In the Tibetan tradition, it's sometimes referred to as Dzogchen, or the great natural perfection. Mind essence. Expressing itself. This is it. The great expanse of awareness that we gradually learn to inhabit, to take up residency in awareness. And as we practice this, and it does require practice, and over time, days, weeks, months, years, and decades, slowly, 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 something may actually shift in the heart, in the mind, so that our natural default is mindfulness as opposed to mindlessness. Mindfulness as opposed to autopilot. So that we no longer depend on or believe what we tell ourselves in terms of self-narrative, but can stay with the direct experiencing of this moment and how it is, without having to build a big story about it, to fabricate a big story that puts ourselves at the center and everybody else at the periphery. So resting in this boundless, spacious, luminous, attending that is the faculty of awareness. Already ours, not something we have to run after. And grab hold of. Just this, sitting here. Just this resting in awareness. In just this moment we call now. Just this being human. Life unfolding. Life unfolding. Only here. Only now. And as you sit here, I'm going to recite a poem for you that's 900 years old. And I invite you to just simply drink it in with your bones and your skin as best you can. It was originally written down in Farsi, I believe, Persian, by Jalaluddin Rumi. I don't think he wrote it down, but somebody wrote it down. But he said it. Probably many times and probably in many different ways. And this is a translation by a man named Coleman Barks, who has brought Rumi to life in the West in remarkable ways. Maybe some of you know it. Coleman Barks gave it the name, The Guest House. Rumi didn't name it. But this is the poem. Just drinking it in, hearing it with your bones, with your heart, with your skin. This being human is a guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every moment a new arrival. A joy, a meanness, a depression, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. She may be cleaning you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Greet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. This being human, this sitting here, this being human is a guest house. Every moment a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be cleaning you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Greet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes. Be grateful for whoever comes. Because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. because each has been sent as a guide. So just for the last few minutes, allowing the doors and windows of the guest house to be flung wide open and just letting whatever comes, come. Whatever wants to go, go. Whatever wants to linger for a bit, linger. And you be the awareness itself. This knowing guest house function that can take it all in and embrace it and meet it and entertain it all. That doesn't mean put on a big party. It means embrace it in awareness without pushing anything away and without attaching and clinging and pursuing what seems so attractive in some moments, even addictive in some moments, to just bring awareness to it all. The poem says, greet them at the door laughing and invite them in. The laughing is, again, postdoctoral training, advanced training. You don't have to laugh. You could cry. You could cry. Or even notice how frightened and frightening some of it is. It's all okay. And you can again inquire, investigate. Is my awareness of the dark thought, the shame, the malice, the anger, the fear, the boredom, the envy, the jealousy, the desire, is that caught in any way, in any of it? Or is it already free? And investigate for yourself. So this is a matter of no time. It's all right here in this moment. And yet, paradoxically, it's the matter of a lifetime. And there are just enough moments, there are approximately an infinite number of moments available to us between this moment and when we will die. How many of them can we actually inhabit gracefully with the lightest of touches and be at home here in the only moment we ever get? That's part of the challenge and part of the beauty and part of the healing of reclaiming and re-inhabiting the life that's actually yours, mine, each one of us, the life that's ours to live. And not some constructed, fabricated story that may exclude multiple dimensions of our being. The first one that may get excluded is the hidden dimension of the present moment, which we may almost never inhabit. And so when you're ready, I would invite you to actually slowly allow your eyes to open if they've been closed, and then come to a standing posture, all with full awareness that you are actually going from sitting to standing. And seeing if you can bring awareness to standing. Maybe I'll move back so I can see you better. And as I said this morning, I mean, this is not the greatest space for doing the full range of meditative practices that we engage in mindfulness-based stress reduction. But as I said this morning, the real meditation practice is how you live your life from moment to moment. Sitting is helpful, but it's more than helpful. It's absolutely essential, but it's also not the whole story. So there are 4 classical postures for meditation practice. One is standing. One is sitting. Guess what the other 2 are? One's lying down. Okay, lying down. And the other is walking. So we haven't had the occasion to really practice walking meditation, walking mindfully. We don't even need to use the word meditation. We can throw out the word meditation. It's just mindful walking, mindful sitting. You know, it's like, now I'm meditating. Brings up the whole question of who's talking, who's saying that, who's claiming to, now I'm meditating, you know, oh. Very often that part of ourselves needs to get out of the way to have any kind of authentic experience with the present moment. Otherwise we'll sort of fabricate this big meditator now. Now I'm a meditator. Then we bother everybody else with how enthusiastic we are about our meditation practice. Then you become what Kabir called a terrific talker. You're so busy talking about meditation. This is an occupational hazard for me, but it will become an occupational hazard for you if you don't watch out. And I watch out all the time around this. That you become a terrific talker, and then soon you'll have no more time to meditate. You're too busy talking about how great it is. But it is something of a mystery, because when you sit down to meditate, and I said we do this intentionally, but who's doing it? Who's meditating? It's a really good question. Don't try to answer it. Just keep asking it for the next 20 or 30 years. Then I'll come back and check in, see how you're doing. So let's actually recognize that standing is itself, can you feel that it actually involves balance? If you can't, you can close your eyes. And maybe it will become more vivid that standing actually involves balance, and it took us a long time to learn how to do this. Just to stand in the gravitational field. And so see if you can be aware of your entire body standing. And breathing, of course. And the micro movements. Can you feel the micro movements without forcing them, but just the micro movements? And then why don't you play with actually imagining that you're underwater and just with one hand moving the hand in the water. The air is also a fluid. It's not as dense as water. It's a gas, not a liquid. But we are living under an ocean of air. Can you touch the air? Can you caress? Can you caress the air? Can you feel it? And the air is fluid, and can you let your emotion also be fluid? So that there's a kind of fluidity. The body's mostly water anyway, meeting the fluidity of the air, and just be the knowing of the touch of the air on the skin and the motion of the arm and the wrist and the hand. And noticing that you're still breathing, you haven't forgotten, the body hasn't forgotten, you may have forgotten. And now noticing how the breath moves with the motion, and then let the other arm get involved. And of course, since you're so tightly packed, you have to be very careful to sort of not bang into other people. But you can sense them without even looking at them. And then and if you're in the aisle or near the aisle, you can move into the aisle if you want to, create a little bit more space. And just paint the air as if you were finger painting the air. All the while, what's the most important aspect of any form of mindfulness practice? The awareness itself. So it's not about finger painting the air. This is a means for actually cultivating sensitivity, for awareness, for being in touch. And now just let to the degree that you have any room, let your whole body move in a fluid way, as if you were a long strand of kelp. That's a kind of long strand of seaweed that's just being moved in the ocean. Okay? And so the feet will be grounded, but everything else is just moving in the current of the air. And you don't have to be embarrassed, and if you want to, you close your eyes. I mean, you don't need to be self-conscious, because we're all just like long strands of kelp, and if we don't take it personally, no one's going to worry about it. You can look ridiculous, but nobody's looking, and who says it's ridiculous? Who's judging that in that way? And so staying in the experience, in the actual feeling of the moving, and the knowing of the feeling of the moving. And it's a somatic knowing as much as it is anything else. So it's not just thinking. And noticing when the breath wants to come in, and how deeply the breath wants to come in, and when the breath leaves, and how deeply the breath wants to leave. And all the while staying in awareness. And when you're ready, slowly, slowly, at your own pace, just slowly, slowly, letting all of this moving just come back to stillness and to standing. And standing kind of like a tree, like a 300 or 400 or 500-year-old tree, with the roots really stable in the earth, and the trunk and the branches moving up towards the heavens. And you're standing here outside of time. You've been here for 500 years. You'll be here for another 500 years. No hurry. Outside of time, just this moment, just this breath. And since you're not a tree but a human being, as the first line of the poem goes, justice being human. Justice being human. And then one last thing just for fun. We do a lot of mindful yoga in MBSR. It's a very important part of the practice. And these, we see them as all different doors into the same room. Each door has its own particular unique features. They're wonderful, but they're also doors into the same room. The room of the heart, the room of the spaciousness and the boundless spaciousness of awareness itself. So let's actually shift our weight onto one foot, say the left foot in your case, and see if you can balance here in this kind of classical Leonardo da Vinci pose. The Renaissance human. You may have to hold on to each other, I don't know, it's like tight, but it looks very beautiful from here. And just breathing, lifting, stretching. And when you're ready, slowly, slowly coming down, as if you were a bird landing on a telephone wire, let your wings cross, and then just take off on the other side. And just balancing. If you want to fly, you can fly. Advanced practice would be to do this at the edge of a cliff. And when you're ready, slowly, slowly, slowly coming down. 3-point landing on the back on that wire. Let the next breath come in and really express itself, and then just settling, dropping in, standing. So, next time you're waiting for the trolley or the elevator, you can just stand. No one needs to know that you're actually present. And You're not sort of, when is the elevator going to come? When's the trolley going? Or even grabbing a newspaper to distract yourself or fill your mind so that the waiting won't be so intolerable. You can actually stand. And what time will it be? What time will it be as you're standing here? Now. And when will the elevator come? When the elevator comes. When will the tram come? When the tram comes. And will it come any sooner if you're impatient and anxious and where's that tram and looking at your watch all the time? No. So you could actually, oh, what a beautiful occasion to actually drop in on yourself. Retune the instrument. Just standing. And then walking, you can practice walking mindfully. And when sitting, you can practice sitting mindfully. You don't have to close your eyes and get into the full lotus posture and, sort of put a holy look on your face. And when you're lying down, here's an exercise for homework. Tonight, before you go to sleep, when you are lying in bed, seeing if you can, again with a very, very light touch, because otherwise you'll wake yourself up, but with a very, very light touch, just feel the whole of the body lying in bed breathing as you go off to sleep. Just say 3 breaths, don't do any more than that. 3 breaths of awareness of, we say in English, falling asleep, okay? But it's really like, or people say going to sleep, but we don't know how to go to sleep. It's more like we make room and sleep comes over us if we're lucky. Then when you wake up in the morning, before you jump out of bed and get going on the day, see if you can actually take 3 breaths or 3 minutes and just lie in bed and feel the body as a whole lying in bed breathing. And recognizing that you woke up. Someday you won't. So today it's precious. And that you are awake and you're fully available to yourself, a brand new day, and you don't know what's going to happen. You think just because it's Friday, you think you know what that means. I know what happens on Friday. I know what's in my calendar. You have no idea what's going to happen. Or you might have some idea, but you don't know actually how it's going to be. So in a sense, it's like, can I be available to what will come, even surprises, even unwanted surprises, like the guest house. Every moment a new arrival, some of those arrivals are violently sweeping your house empty of its furniture. That's not fun. But how are we going to be in relationship to it? So when you wake up in the morning, see if you can really bring awareness to lying in bed, and then the mind will start going, all the things I have to do today, urging you to jump out of bed and quickly brush your teeth and jump in the shower. Well, okay, but when you brush your teeth, can you be actually present for the brushing of the teeth? It won't take any less time, but can you brush your teeth mindfully? When you get into the shower, check and see if you're in the shower. Tomorrow. You may not be in the shower. You may be at work already. Meanwhile, the water's coming on your skin, but you're not noticing that because you're so caught up in your mind that you could even have the whole meeting in the shower with you. You could be having an argument already about the most important point of this meeting, and then you realize, hey, wait a minute, I'm in the shower. Why not be fully in the shower? Then the shower becomes your meditation teacher. Your toothbrush becomes your meditation teacher. Your bed becomes your meditation teacher. There's nothing that arises. Your children who come in the morning and wake you up before you thought that you should wake up. Everything becomes your meditation teacher. Everything becomes your teacher. And then we get to dance with it all, and it's not like we're going to like it all. But who says we have to like it all? We don't like it all already. But can we be in wiser relationship with it? That's the meditation practice. And then life becomes the teacher, and it really teaches opportunities, openings for what would stepping in and turning towards and opening in awareness mean, as opposed to recoiling, contracting, grinning and bearing it, getting angry, resentful, which may be our default mode, which may be what happens when we feel most threatened, when our amygdala goes insane and hijacks us. Happens a lot. Some of the slides I'm not going to get to show that 8 weeks of MBSR actually thins the amygdala. With 100 years more experiments of that kind, we'll be able to know whether that's true and what it means and everything else. But for now, certain regions of the brain actually get thicker, like the hippocampus and the cerebellum and the, posterior cingulate cortex. I mean, all sorts of very important areas involved in learning and memory and perspective taking and, just the kinds of things that we need to actually live a full life. Those change in structure, in thickness in 8 weeks of MBSR. It's interesting, but it's not the most important thing. The slides that I'm not going to show you about Buddhist monks meditating and how different the colors are from people who've been meditating for 2 weeks, the slides that I'm not going to show you, none of the Buddhist monks meditated to make really pretty, colorful fMRI scans. Nobody started meditating for that reason. And it's like, it's a meta phenomenon. It's like really important in some way, but in another way, even if we didn't know that, this would be, like, in some sense, the most powerful gift, the most important gift you could give to yourself would be your own life. In its fullness, not in some kind of diminished caricature of it. That we then, of course, since we can't possibly be responsible for that ourselves, we have to blame other people or circumstances for it. To explain why we're so miserable. And then we catch that in awareness. We can write ourselves a restraining order. We don't necessarily need to do that. We see that, then things open up. Things become freer. Okay. We did both sides, right? Okay, so we could do this for another couple of hours, but we won't. But the mindful yoga is a combination of strengthening, full body conditioning, strengthening, yes, you can sit down, flexibility, getting very fluid and flexible, which the older we get, the more important that is. It doesn't solve all life's problems, but it's valuable to actually see if you can keep things as fluid as possible in your body. And also, so strength, flexibility, also balance. Balance. Really important. Dynamical balance. Balance means continually losing your balance and regaining it. It's not some static thing. It's continually shifting to maintain balance, whether you're on one foot or on two, or whether it's mental balance we're talking about. It's a dynamical, continual fluxing, whereas as we actually cultivate greater balance, we cultivate a certain kind of stability and also penetrative insight to see beneath the surface of our own propaganda, our own ideas and opinions, which sometimes create a kind of veil that allows us to see only what we want to see and confirm only what we already believe. Which makes it very hard to have any kind of breakthroughs or insights or even understand somebody else's behavior or empathize with them. It's amazing how time moves, isn't it? I mean, so another principle is these are all different doors into the same room. The yoga, sitting meditation, walking meditation, standing meditation, eating meditation. You can throw out the word meditation, as I say, and it's just eating with awareness, standing with awareness, lying down with awareness. And the awareness you already have, but it needs a certain kind of cultivation. I started saying something this morning that I'm not sure that I completed the point. Let me see if I can recall what it was. It has something to do with the non-instrumental element of, dimension of meditation. The basic message, and we say this to our patients in the stress reduction clinic who come with every conceivable medical and psychiatric diagnosis that you can imagine. And we say to people, right from the beginning, before we even let them into the program, when we're just describing it, that from our perspective, as long as you're breathing, there's more right with you than wrong with you, no matter what you think is wrong with you. And what we're going to do is pour energy into what's right with you. Let the rest of the medical community take care of what's quote-unquote wrong with you, and see what happens when you become a participant, a full participant in your own health care and movement towards greater levels, if you will, of health and well-being. Starting from where? From where you are now. So it's not about trying to get anywhere else or lower your blood pressure or increase your immune system or shrink your amygdala or grow your hippocampus. It's about, in some sense, befriending yourself in the most fundamental ways, even though you don't know who's actually doing all this doing that's not really doing at all. It's being. Did you get that? So it's okay to not know who's meditating. To just do it. Because there's a certain way in which we are very conventional. We live in a conventional reality. So in a conventional reality, you can think that I'm meditating. I mean, I decided to meditate. I think it's important. I'm going to bring this into my life. I'm going to change my lifestyle and carve out some time to meditate. That's great. That will get you meditating, whether it's lying down in bed or on the floor or doing yoga or walking meditation or eating meditation or meditation in daily life, whatever it is. There's a certain intentionality, and I built it into the operational definition of mindfulness. It's the awareness that arises by paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. So someone is supposed to be doing that, right? Whoever is paying attention, who's that? And who's doing it on purpose? It's okay not to know. Or it's okay to say, me, I'm doing it. But I want to just sort of float the notion that when we say me, we don't actually have the slightest idea who we're talking about. Sometimes we say me, and we point to the body, it's like me. But every 7 years, on the average, the body isn't even the same atoms. And your opinions that you will die for today, or 5 years ago, those opinions that you had about this, that, and the other thing, they may be completely different now. So things are very much in flux, and part of it is, can we recognize that in a conventional way, yes, you're you, and it's your bank account, and it's your, accomplishments and everything else, and on the other hand, it's much more mysterious than that. Einstein had a lot to say about this. All the quantum physicists had a lot to say about this because they were looking into the nature of reality and finding nothing. It was like, the very atoms, everything is actually energy. I mean, E equals mc squared. I mean, it's like the mass is the same as energy. I mean, do you know what that did to their minds? I mean, it just didn't make any sense. I mean, it made sense mathematically and everything else, but what it says is the universe is much more mysterious. And if now you read about what very serious cosmologists are thinking about reality in terms of never mind quantum mechanics, but string theory, and trying to marry quantum mechanics and gravity, they're talking about a universe of multiple dimensions, like 11 is the favorite number at the moment. 7 of which are hidden and never unfurled at the moment of the Big Bang. or right afterwards. So if the serious physicists can talk about reality in that way and hidden dimensions, I think we can too. And we can also be more comfortable with sort of not knowing who we are. And that not knowing who we are is actually the most profound place to reside in terms of even living a conventional life and conventional reality that involves holding down a job and having a family and everything else. This can all be done in a way that is so open-hearted and respectful of the mystery of it, of the not knowing, that it actually illuminates and makes much more profound the experience of being alive. And it also is deeply related to health and healing. We see people who actually change their lives in profound ways that the doctors are astonished about. And they're doing it by practicing this meditative stuff that looks a lot, when you look at it from the outside, like nothing. And I like to say, this is a little bit referring to English literature. You know, Shakespeare wrote a play called Much Ado About Nothing. Much ado, that means a lot of talk or interest or excitation about nothing. Much ado about nothing. I like to say that from the outside, mindfulness looks like it's much ado about nothing. But actually, it's not nothing. Maybe it would be more accurate to say much ado about almost nothing that turns out to be just about everything. Seriously, though. Because without awareness, we established this morning, you can see without seeing, you can hear without hearing, you can eat without tasting, you can touch without feeling. Without awareness, life becomes a kind of caricature of what it actually is. With awareness comes creativity, comes imagination, comes relationality that looks a lot like love in its sort of most boundless and most selfless form. You know, a clear seeing into the nature of reality and a clear moving in towards it. Compassion is the kind of intention to actually act, to relieve the suffering of the other because you feel you're suffering with them. And the only natural thing to do is to move in, not to run away.